Greetings, brothers and sisters. Bunch of funny stuff to get to. Some Whoopie stuff. The View ladies are really coming through. And then some more JoJo Magoo. And then some Kanye stuff. Just a bunch of funny things today. And so, well, let's start here.
Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
Woo! Chuck Schumer, woo!
And it worked.
So let's slow that down. Let's go back and slow that down. So JoJo Magoo is crapping all over Trump's tax cuts for the wealthy, according to him, and meets with some boos, and he's but Chuck Schumer's like, oh, it's time to clap. I'm getting up. He's rocking it. Wait. The dude behind him's laughing, right? You embarrassed yourself, Chuck. And he's like, oh, I'm going to sit back down and wait. Oh, here we go. He pops back up. And he applauds like a complete, just so unlikable, right? But that was hilarious. He's just a complete tool. Let's go to this. Look at this. Look at this show of mega minds. And how did Joy Behar, their Big John Colossal Cursor knows, how did Joy Behar make it into the center square? She's the... But it starts off here with Whoopie.
Michelle Trefoy is back with us today.
Woo! She's back. Woo!
So let's get started, because President Biden made his State of the Union address last night to a maskless chamber.
A maskless chamber. A chamber with no masks are present. And then let's move forward here.
Applaud that.
And his cabinet.
And his cabinet as well. And we should applaud that. And I thought it was his time to mention that.
There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff he could have.
Just too much stuff for a guy like JoJo Magoo.
Should have mentioned. I mean, we can all come up with stuff that he should have done. What I'm glad he didn't do is he did not give the finger to the other side. No. He continues to say,
Exactly. He didn't give the finger to the other side. What president ever did that? Right?
I'm here if you want to work with me. We're trying to get this done. And quite frankly, I'm with you. I'm really glad that we have someone who they call him Sleepy Joe. I'm glad he's sleepy.
She's glad he's sleepy. Look at, she's glad he's sleepy. He's sleepy, but that's okay. In Whoopi's book,
that we have someone who they call him Sleepy Joe. I'm glad he's sleepy. I'm glad he's not saying, hey, I'm going to come over there and do... I don't want to hear that.
But he wasn't sleepy.
Joy's got something to say here in a second, but Joy... they're trying to make it sound like Trump would be more aggressive with what's going on with the Ukraine. It wouldn't be happening under Trump. I mean, this is, I'm not saying Trump is good. I voted for Trump. I'm not a supporter of Trump. But it wouldn't be the same thing. This is completely contrived, right? And they're just, I'm glad he's sleepy. I'm glad he's mentally incompetent. I'm glad he took a snooze in the middle of the State of the Union. I'm glad he had so many gaffes. Like he wasn't giving the finger to anybody.
I'm going to come over there and do... I don't want to hear that.
But he wasn't sleepy last night. He was on the game last night.
But again...
He was on his game. It's his game, like mispronouncing, like just misnaming people. And then so many flubs. And I mean, just that was his game. That was him being on his game. Joy.
I just feel like, people have names. I don't have any names for him. I just want him to do...
I got one. It's called JoJo Magoo. Because after Mr. Magoo. And JoJo from the Here's a Who or whatever.
The best he can for the most amount of Americans. I'm not going to like everything he does. I'm not going to dig everything. Yeah. But I want somebody who at least can look us all in the eye and say, well, this is what I'm trying to do. Yeah. That's what I...
Yeah, come on, Whoopi. He's a career liar.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
So clueless. The opposite of the truth. This is where you get into something that's so bad. It's the exact opposite of the truth. Everything they say about Joe Biden, the exact opposite is true. Sometimes it's, 80% true, 20% lies, 40% true, 60% lies, or whatever it is. 10% true, 90% lies. This is 100% lies, and it's so much of a lie that the exact opposite is true, right? Because like the best lies are ones that are partially true, or it's sort of like the truth but not quite. Just a little bit of manipulation, a little tweaking, but it's not. Like the truth isn't that far off. Here, the truth is the exact opposite of what they're saying.
Because the other dude, whose name I slipped yesterday.
I couldn't believe it.
I feel like my brain had a whole thing. It just went.
Stop going backwards then. Let's just look ahead. Stop going backwards.
Oh, well,
Stop going backwards. Let's look ahead. Let's look ahead. Good time, I'm glad you came.
It's hard not to go backwards because people keep. Listen, it's easy and.
What do you mean it's hard not to go backwards? You guys live in the past. The clip I just played you from the speech was about Trump's tax cuts. How many times did Jojo Magoo reference Trump in the State of the Union directly or indirectly, right? And he had a speech recently where he mentioned Trump like 24 times in like a 9-minute speech. And the media is constantly, you guys live for Trump.
Forgive me. It's very easy for folks to say, let's just, not go backwards. But until we go backwards and say, here are the issues.
Yeah.
Until we got to go back to the past to solve the future. It's a time travel show. Okay, let's go back to the State of the Union.
To protect NATO countries, including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear,
He's made it.
the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
He's clear-eyed. He's just getting it done, like they said. He was miraculous.
And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage.
Pure courage they have. The Russians, pure cowardice. The Ukrainians, pure courage. But when the insurgents fought against us in Iraq or Libya or Afghanistan, they were fighting out of cowardice, even though we were in the invading force.
But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them.
It's going to be hard on them.
Putin has unleashed violence and chaos.
Putin.
But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run.
He doesn't know what's going to hit him.
And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight.
A pound of the people? Like there's enough people they're so small they can fit in a pound. What are you talking about?
And a pound of Ukrainian people.
A pound of Ukrainian people? What does that even mean? A dog pound? Look at him. Shut up, Joe. Move along, Joe. Read, Joe.
The proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have.
Every inch of what did you say? Like that was just a gaffe central here. That's why I said again, that was great.
And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have.
Every inch of energy they have? What was that? Let's see what he said in every inch of energy that they have. Every inch of energy. I got 27 inches of energy, Joe. We know you have 4. How many inches of energy do you have, Joe? Like, what do you... Every inches of energy. The Ukrainian people have 20,000 inches of energy put together, and when they put their inches of energy together, they're going to fight pound for pound better than any, pound to the pounder, and they're going to pound in the pound, and they're going to go dogtown and dog pound, and that's how they're going to use their inch of energy, right? You guys get it?
They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards.
Wait, they don't tolerate that? They're not they're not tolerating anybody who takes their country backwards?
To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be.
No, he's going to be honest with you. Like, I got to tell you, before I was lying, but now I'm going to be honest.
A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers.
Yeah, every tool at our disposal to, make sure that Russian children starve. That's what he's talking about here.
Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60
Release what?
million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America.
Woo! We're still going to see $5 gallon gas prices pretty soon.
We'll lead that effort.
Okay, so then there's this. This is from his other speech before the State of the Union.
I know this is hard and that Americans are already hurting. I will do everything in my power to limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump. This is critical to me. But this aggression cannot go unanswered. If it did, the consequences for America...
The consequences? What kind of consequences do we have?
The consequences for America would be much worse. America stands up to bullies. We stand up for freedom. This is who we are.
This is who we are.
I know.
Okay, so I want to come back to this because that's just ridiculous, right? This country was built on abuse and bullying. It was an invading force from Europe, Americans and Canadians and Spanish and, maybe some other countries a little bit less, but mostly English, right? They came into America and invaded a country and took away the sovereignty of the people that were here, right? The native peoples. So that was bullying, right? That was abuse. They came in, they stomped the people, and the peoples that were already here, they were at war. I mean, people have been warlike all over the place, right? For thousands of years. And so in every country, every group of people, so many different groups took slaves. I mean, there's no race or group of people that has clean hands here, right? Abuse of power has been a part of human culture forever. Bullying that he talks about. But America's history is that there was an invading force from Europe that came in and wiped out 120 million people that were here, indigenous people. There's now 4 million. So that is significant population reduction, and took their land and displaced them, right, in various, worst place reservations, and then took slaves from Africa and then used those slaves to build a country. And because of having free land, beautiful free land, and free labor, America took off economically to where we're the number one economic power in just a short period of time, right? With the history and the knowledge of colonialism coming from England, right? And, Europe. And so you don't get to say anything about that because, you don't get to say that we're not bullies, like we're not the evil empire, that somehow Russia is worse, right? That Trump is worse and Putin is worse. No, like that's how our country got rich. That's how we got rich. Free land and free labor and a military industrial, war machine economic war machine that we've put together. And so, and these illegal invasions that he's been a part of in Libya and Iraq and Afghanistan, which killed 100 million, killed 1 million innocent people. And I mean, all of it, right? Like, just stop, Jojo Magoo. So we're going to come back to this later. So we got some funny memes. Ordered a Generation X bomb shelter today. Because these were the kind of desks we had when we were kids. And we hid underneath them, or at least, some people had to. And, to sort of prepare for nuclear war. This was our bomb shelter in the 80s, right? One of my viewers sent me this. The QB Bar and Grill, they serve hopium. They serve hopium. JFK is the chef. JFK Jr. is the chef. And they're still waiting for the great pumpkin. It's and so there's the QBs. I wanted to say something about what I'm calling now the fake bees. What is it? It's a fake bees? What was it I called them? Somebody wrote me a comment, and I think it's a fake bees. I don't remember for sure. Someone will tell me. One person could tell me if I said something else before. But it's the people that say everything's fake. It's all fake. It's all fake. And I'm going to talk about the possibility of this war being fake in the end. But it's the fake bees that, it's a kind of persona that you are. There's no nuclear bomb. There's no such thing as nuclear weapons. It's all that stuff, right? The QBs, the flubies. Oh, it's all fake. It's all real. It's all fake, it's fake. And they just find that everything's fake. It's the rigidness. Whether you're right or wrong, it's the way that you come across. It's the way you write comments, the way you interact with people, the way you just come off like knowers when you don't know for sure. You think you know for sure, but you don't. And then oftentimes you're wrong and, you're pretty hostile. And so it isn't like about what you believe. It's like what kind of, presentation and person you are and how difficult you are to deal with. And it's just, whether you're right or wrong doesn't mean anything. You're just a complete tool and nobody really likes you, right? I'm not saying about, like, people can believe whatever they want to believe, right? I mean, I'm going to be wrong sometimes. You're going to be wrong sometimes. It's not about being right or wrong. I mean, certainly compared to each other rather than but it's when you're wrong all the time and you're a complete douche about it, right? No, it's fake, fake, right? And the QBs were, one of the demographics that falls into that group. Kanye West kidnaps, buries Pete Davidson alive in the Easy music video. Oh, I got to go check that out. Well, here he is. He's got Pete Davidson here. Some sort of a Gumby thing. Oh, it's claymation. And then he buries him here. And so they always have the craziest pictures for him. But they didn't really do Pete any favors either. And so he kidnaps him here and buries him later. And then he throws some sprinkling rose seeds around Davidson's head. There's some crazy MFers there. Kanye West went Instagram official with Kim Kardashian look away. Look away. Everybody look away. Chancey Jones have been ongoing criticism how he's handled the divorce and treated Kim. He's fired like 4 divorce lawyers, and now he's gone Instagool announcement of this person who looks just like Kim, who's a lookalike, which is, this is what makes Kanye hilarious. Like, he does that all the time. He's dating somebody who's like, who looks like a younger version of his soon-to-be ex-wife. Like, he takes trolling to the next level. Like, especially for these superficial Hollywood people. Like, when looks is everything and fake, branding and stuff. I mean, he's a mastermind of gathering attention for himself. He's got a big documentary out on Instagool, and which I've yet to watch. But I'm gonna. My wife and I are looking forward to it. It's waiting for the 4th. I could watch it all at once, But anyways. And he just released an album. He's burying Pete Davidson alive in the ground, throwing rose seeds on him, and dating a younger version of his ex. Well, speaking of trolling conflicts, 1 million flee Ukraine as Russia captures key city in the south. So now they're saying there's an immigration crisis. How Russia's war in the Ukraine came back to bite Putin at home. And then Russia's invasion of the Ukraine forces Germany into diplomatic U-turn. Maximum Chermakasovsky returns to U.S. from Ukraine, reunites with Petra Merkenbrung. So he's become really famous for just his nationality. Andy Serkis impression of Vladimir Putin as Gollum.
We want it, we need it, we must have Kiev. No, precious,
That sucks. Look at him. Look at this ghoul right here. Like, look at him. Have some dignity, Stephen Colbert.
To impose sanctions.
Yeah, sanctions make children starve, you ghouls, right? You Hollywood ghouls. Those sanctions are going to cause Russian children to starve who are innocent, have nothing to do with Putin. even if Putin is the villain you guys think he is, and, I don't think he is. I mean, he's not any worse than, he must be a little bit independent of the beast if they're, they're doing him the way they're doing him. Look at Stephen Colbert.
My precious, if they do anything, we're gonna give them back.
There you go. That was wonderful. You're great. Another, disappointment. Guy who plays Gollum. Andy Serkis is a tool. So just to wrap this up, I want to go back to what Jojo Magoo said about we don't tolerate bullies, and we just...
The consequences for America would be much worse. America stands up to bullies. We stand up for freedom. This is who we are.
And people who don't support freedom. Freedom means lifestyle. These are lifestyle wars. These are wars. I got a meme somewhere. Hopefully I can find it. But it says the American dollar used to be backed by this, which was gold, and now it's backed by this, which is the military, right? So some, aircraft carriers or whatever. But since 2001, whenever they talk about defending your freedom, I mean, it's always been this way, but it sort of got, turbocharged then. They mean your lifestyle. These are wars that are saving your economy and your lifestyle. But, not this one, because now they're taking America down. You can just see it in every possible way. America, we won't have the same lifestyle. I mean, our lifestyle's we're hemorrhaging our lifestyle on a daily basis because it's all based in a fake economic model, a debt-based system. And we're bullies, right? This is America. When you have the biggest military and you have the most money spent on so-called defense, in air quotes, which is really offense, and you're manipulating countries, and everything that you do is done for freedom because you're the heroes, and everything they do, anybody who goes against you, they're the villains and the whatever they are, right? Terrorists or whatever they call them, right? Depending on the person, and you have people like Putin and Trump, and, they're controlled and they're corrupt, but they're being taken out for some reason. Either they're just burning them to burn them, or the person isn't willing to go along with them. Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, these other people, certainly not heroes. Some of them better than others, Gaddafi being, probably the best of the bunch. But they may be a little bit more independent. So you take this guy from the Ukraine. Now, many people think the war isn't even going on, that Russia isn't even invading the Ukraine. I don't think that, but it's possible. That's how bad the media is, that there's no independent journalism. And, I mean, people are saying, well, where are all the sort of videos coming from these people? They all have cell phones, whatever it is. And so, it's believable. I don't think it's true. I think there's an actual war. I think there's an actual conflict. I think they're trying to take Putin and Russia down. And just think about this. Under Putin, there's been no threat of nuclear war. As bad as you might think he is, there's no threat of nuclear war. But if they, create some sort of catastrophe, regime change catastrophe, which we know how those end, going all the way back to what happened in Iran in 63 years ago, right? In the 50s, wherever that was, when that happened, Operation Ajax that the CIA finally owned up to so many years later. And then the recent regime change wars in Libya and Afghanistan. I mean, every place where we've meddled with the government, the place produced a much worse leaders. And it's now a disaster, right? The country's a disaster. All of them. They're wrecked. We've wrecked those countries. If they do that to Russia and you have some random rogue government that comes out of whatever poverty and chaos you've unleashed on them, and, they have nuclear missiles, then there you go. This could be the seeds of that, right? Where there's some rogue government, abusive government thugs that come into power, and they just don't care, and they'll go nuclear. And so, I mean, that's a possibility. And you think about this puppet leader in the Ukraine now, who's a former comedian. Now think about all that built up to this. That Hunter Biden never really went to Ukraine, as far as I know, never went there, never set foot there, but certainly wasn't working a 9-to-5 job there. Got paid $1 million while he was smoking crack. According to his own book that he wrote, he had lucrative deals with foreign governments, foreign companies in China and Ukraine, while he was a crack smoker. I mean, just like digest that for a little bit. You can't smoke crack and be a good employee. Like it's not, you can't be a functioning crackhead, right? And so they weren't paying him because he was the kind of guy who would like bang his brother's widow or, impregnate a stripper or live in seedy, whatever it is, turn over his laptop, drop his laptop in the tub and turn it over to a computer place and forget about it. The only thing he had going for him, his number one asset, was his father and the people he knew because of his father and the influence that he has, right? So they were buying influence. And so then, Jojo Magoo came out and said he was going to withhold $1 billion if Ukraine didn't fire the prosecutor going after the company. One of the things he was doing is going after Burisma. And so there's all that, right? And so Donald Trump went to this guy and said, hey, look, can you give me any dirt on Jojo Magoo? Remember this? And then they impeached Trump for that, saying this letter he wrote, and the letter he wrote was stupid. Like Trump got worked a lot. He got, sucked into things and baited into it. But it was said over and over again how corrupt Ukraine was. And there was dispute there, right? Who was working the Ukrainian government? Was it the Bidens or was it Trump? It was really both of them. And the Bidens have been doing it for years. And now, they have a relationship with this guy, a corrupt relationship, and they're funneling billions of dollars into that country. How much is going to come back? Like how much is how much is money is going to be used to buy paintings done by the great artiste Hunter Biden? And so when they do these regime change wars, where they change regimes and change leadership, they make a fortune. You can really loot a country that's in chaos and run by thugs, right? And so when America has changed governments, they've done this a number of times. They've killed governments. They've got rid of leaders. And then they just make a fortune. Also, if they do rebuilding in the country, they get American tax dollars, Americans to flip the bill for rebuilding a country. I mean, how many Americans want to give $1 billion to the Ukrainians? And again, the Ukrainian government was considered off the charts corrupt before this. And so, there's all kinds of layers to this thing. I mean, I cover different layers and different narratives in my videos, but one of them is just it's a scam. Like one of them is they use all these opportunities and distractions to generate money in sort of a pyramidal scheme. And there's always victims and we're always the hero and we got to help everyone else out. And, but they are making bank, right? Jojo and his crew. And, I mean, it's definitely something that they've, worked out the kinks and they know how to do this. And in the 24-hour news cycle, and of course the news media never covers the chance that there could be any other story than the one the government and Joe Biden give you, right? I mean, that's how bad it's gotten. And so like when there's no independent media, there's no really oppositional party and they let them walk these lies out. They let them just, blurt these lies out and make these gaffes. I mean, look at the guy. The guy's not a leader. I mean, he barely made it through that speech. And a lot of times he's babbling incoherently. He doesn't understand what he's saying, mispronouncing words. But there's times that he's garbling the words that you can't even understand what the word is. I mean, that happened. And I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched about 15 minutes. And I found there was like 10 times that he like butchered a word, right? And so even with all that, the media never calls him on it. And I mean, there's just, they have a free walk to the bank. And that's why, there needs to be a spiritual solution because this is how materialistic countries end up, just completely corrupt, completely, devoid of ethics and morals. And it's just, it just dives into deeper levels of depravity. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.